Good morning, everyone. I this is Panther Pickle. Um, I just wanted to briefly show you. Shut up for a minute, Bill. Um, just briefly wanted to. Earlier this week, I had promised you a clip of Bill Polian talking about the Packer game and talking about Bryce Young's development. And here at the Blue and Black Attack podcast, we keep our promises. And I figured it out, so I want to do it right now on my Panther Morning Minutes. Uh, I'm sure there will be other edited versions coming out. Deez will be working on those. But real quick on this one, here's what I've got you.
And I'm being charitable when I say this, they look disinterested. They really look like they didn't want to be out there that particular day. And in fact, it was so bad in terms of substitutions and things like that. They removed the receiver coach from his position after the game. Now I don't know why or under what circumstances, but uh, they look disinterested against the Panthers, a team that, on paper they should be better than. But that's what the Panthers did. They had a great defensive plan. They took away Bijan, and the rest of it was duck soup. So, this team is puzzling to me, very puzzling.
Yeah.
Conversely, on Thursday night, they come out and they run all over the Buffalo Bills. So, they're hard to figure out. When they can,
Yes.
when Bijan can run the ball, they can win. But when he can't, they're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of which, the Carolina Panthers are no longer a homecoming game for opponents. They've won now 4 of their last 5 games. They went into Lambeau on Sunday and served up a shocker, Bill. The Packers were 1 for 5 inside the red zone against Carolina Panthers defense. We could talk about Bryce Young, and rightfully so. If you talked about Rico Dowdle, you'd be more closer to the reason why this team is very successful. You get him and a healthy Chuba Hubbard, then they're going to be a formidable opponent. But the defense, to me, has been the most surprising part. They're a really good defense. And as I said, they're no longer an easy out. The way that, to me, you go into Lambeau and you beat that football team and you outgain them on the ground and you shut down Josh Jacobs in there and their run game and come up with a timely interception against the Green Bay Packers. They didn't overwhelm the Packers. They just kept the Packers from having those breakout moments and getting any kind of rhythm. Not having Tucker Kraft may have helped, but this Panthers defense is better than any of us had expected.
Well, they're playing a lot better, that's for sure. Now, the previous week, the Buffalo Bills decided to run the ball down their throat, and they did. They knocked them around pretty good, and they play hard. They have good plans by and large. They've done a nice job of creating blitzes when you don't expect it. But in truth, I went back and looked at the film again yesterday. I don't. I know that Kraft was out, and he went out relatively early in the second half, I think. But the quarterback looked off the air in Green Bay. I mean, he threw an interception into 3 deep coverage where there were 4 deep coverage. There were 3 defenders back there. He just heaved the ball. And the second interception that he threw, he may have been trying to throw it out of bounds, but it was like a 50-yard throw. Now, he's got a strong enough arm to do that. The wind was blowing as only it can in Green Bay at a pretty good clip. So that may have affected it, but there was no receiver there. The receiver had been knocked out of bounds in the scramble drill earlier in the play, so he was throwing to no one. But that was a second interception in the end zone. But he didn't look comfortable at all. He didn't, and the Panthers weren't playing a lot of real sophisticated defense. Once the Kraft went out of the game, they were doubling the wideout and playing zone basically on the backside of that. Fairly easy to read. Love just looked disconnected. I mean, they were throwing a lot of checkdowns. When you got a lot of zone with linebackers dropping, what do? Well, you spread people out and you create holes in the zone, right? They weren't doing that. I will give the Panthers a lot of credit up front. They outplayed Green Bay's offensive line by a wide margin. They pushed them around. And that's why Jacobs couldn't get going. They just pushed the Green Bay offensive line around. I didn't expect to see that because that hadn't been the case the previous week against Buffalo, but it sure was on Sunday. And that ultimately may have been the key to the game. But Love no matter what the numbers say, Love did not have a good day.
Yeah, Panthers had a good day running the ball, 33 rush attempts, 163 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. 4.9 yards average per carry against the Green Bay Packers defense. And then they held Josh Jacobs to 87 yards. I'm sure they would have loved to have run it more. Interesting thing, Green Bay Packers did not punt the entire game. They were limited in their possessions, only 7 possessions. They weren't bad on third down at all. In fact, they finished with a 53% conversion rate, 7 of 13 on third down. But when you look at their 7 possessions, they fumbled on the first one, then a couple of field goals, then they had another missed field goal, then the interception, and then they lost the ball on downs, and then they get a touchdown on their very last drive. So 7 possessions, not one punt at all. I mean, it's rare that you lose a game like that. That's the very, very interesting part. So Carolina Panthers playing small ball, playing good run offense, not allowing you to run it, and coming up with a timely turnover or 2. Usually that's the difference, but I think it's enough to be said how you go into Lambeau and then beat the Green Bay Packers and come out of there a winner. And now the Carolina Panthers sitting there with a 5-4 record, having won 4 of their last 5 games. It's, I think, very impressive and should be noted. Dave Canal is doing a really good job with that football team.
Dave has gotten this football team. First of all, he knows the team now. He knows what he's got. Mm-hmm. And in Dowdle, they got a terrific running back. He's the guy now. Chuba's going to back him up. But it's a great combination. But not enough credit can be given Dave Canales for getting Bryce Young to where now he is a competent NFL quarterback. And we'll find out going down the stretch whether or not he can be a winning quarterback in a playoff scenario, because that's what the Panthers are looking at right now. They're in the hunt. Tampa Bay's nicked up. Their 2 best receivers are gone for the year. And we said Atlanta's inconsistent at best. That's being charitable. The Panthers are in the hunt. And Dave has gotten Bryce Young to the point where now he is a credible professional quarterback. So 2 things now. Can he stay healthy, which is always an issue at his size, although he's judicious when he runs the ball. And secondly, can he now make plays with a reasonably good receiving core? McMillan is his go-to guy. But there's some other guys there that can make some plays. Tommy Tremble can immediately. Stevenson at tight end can make plays. Stevenson, too, has to stay healthy. He's undersized as well. But and they can run the ball, that's for sure. And their offensive line coach has done a phenomenal job with that offensive line. Absolutely phenomenal. They are a really good offensive line now, playing with backups. They're playing with 3 backups Sunday. So that tells you how good a coaching job they've done there. So Dave Canales and his offensive staff, 100 over 100. Now we're going to find out, people say, is Bryce the guy? We'll find out, because he now is a bona fide NFL quarterback thanks to Dave Canales. And now we're going to find out if he's the guy, because they're in a playoff battle right now.
And look, their GM, Dan Morgan, quietly adding some talent to a team that was bereft of talent just a couple of years ago, and now beginning to add more playmakers and more talent to this roster that can go out and compete. And he and Dave Canales working together to improve the product there with the Carolina Panthers. We got to stop down, take a break. We do get to come back with more. You're listening to the Tuesday morning edition of the Opening Drive on Sirius XM NFL Radio. Here's your 2-minute drill.
Take your morning coffee. Order up with a side of football. This is the Opening Drive with Solomon Wilcots and Bill Polian.
Yo, Bill, we were talking about Bryce Young, former first overall pick. He's gone through some growing pains, but now the fog seems to be clearing. The clouds have parted. The sun shines again for this young man who's become a real viable component and he serves more of an answer, a solution to any of the problems that the Carolina Panthers have had.
Yes, and he's got a unique ability to extend plays and get the ball down the field, usually to the right guy. He's stopped the Wild and Willie stuff, and getting the ball to the right guy. And he's deceptively fast. I don't know what he runs on a watch. I'd probably say 4.7, something like that. But he's deceptively fast, and he fools defenses. He fools contained people. It happens every week. So when that occurs, you know it's real. It's not a one-off. But if anybody can make it at 5'11" in the NFL as a playoff quarterback, it's Bryce Young. Because he's one of the most dedicated, hardworking, intelligent, tough guys I've ever seen. I had a chance to be around him a little bit when Frank Reich was the coach here in Carolina, and he is an impressive guy. And I've often said, except for a difference in arm strength, and there is, I wouldn't say it's significant, but it's real. There is a difference in arm strength. Everything else, if he were 6'4", he's Peyton Manning. But he's not. He's 5'11". So we're going to see in the end if that actually is the hindrance that most people seem to think it is, because now we're in a playoff hunt. But if anybody can make it at that size because of the intangibles, it's Bryce Young. And by the way, I forgot to mention that the offensive line coach who has done wonders with this offensive line in Carolina is Joe Gilbert. And you're quite right, Dan Morgan, quietly, without any fanfare, without any, I mean, you got to find Dan first before you get a quote out of him.
He's in the bowels of the building.
He's looking at film. He's out on the road looking at players. I mean, he's a GM's GM.
He really is.
He manages the way he played linebacker. But he's done a magnificent job plugging holes, bringing people in who can play. And the example, of course, being the running back, Dowdle, who came over as a free agent from Dallas and who now is a trendsetter.
Congratulations. Oh, by the way, I've always kept a small little space in my critique for quarterbacks who are not above 6 feet. Only because I had this affinity for one player who I watched just kill the league for years. Could he run? Yeah. Could he get out of the pocket? Yeah. But could he play from the pocket? Absolutely. Did he carve up teams and take at least 4 teams to a Super Bowl? Absolutely. And that was the great Fran Tarkenton. When he retired from the game, in fact, when he left college at the University of Georgia, he owned all the record books in the passing annals of college football history. When he left the NFL, he owned all the record books until Dan Marino passed him. Fran Tarkenton was one of the most prolific passers in the college game, in the pro game, and he could not have been a skosh above 6 feet, Bill. In fact, that was with elevated heels, by the way.
For those who don't remember, who have never seen Fran Tarkenton or can't look him up on YouTube or whatever else is available these days, he was Johnny Manziel with an incredible football brain and a better arm than Johnny. He was more accurate than Johnny. But the way he played was the way Johnny Manziel played. Helter skelter all over the place. He drove
Kill
Norm
team.
Van Brocklin, his coach, crazy because Van Brocklin was an old school pocket quarterback, right? And
Yeah.
that's not the way Fran played. He was the scrambler. He invented the term. Roger Staubach only took it to another level at 6'3".
True. That is true. Yeah.
But Fran was accurate all over the field from any platform at any place on the field. Yes.
That's right. And owned all the records. I mean, you look at the passing records. Now, you can talk about the running. He owned all the college passing records when he came out of University of Georgia. He owned all the NFL records. He's a Hall of Famer. He didn't do that just running around. He took 4 teams to the Super Bowl. Bud Grant knew how to live with it. he gave birth to that Viking franchise all those years. So I got to give him credit for what he accomplished in this league. I wanted to talk to you about Drake May because the Patriots are on a roll.
All right, folks. Thank you very much. That's it. I liked what Bill said. I thought it was very interesting that he that the comparison was made to Frank Tarkenton. Um, he kind of predates me. Um, uh, I do like. Um, not sure I agree with make him 6'4" and he's Peyton Manning, but I know Bryce is pretty smart. Somebody the other day online compared Bryce Young to Kyler Murray, and that's an unfair comparison. Kyler Murray runs faster, and he probably has a stronger arm, but that's it. He doesn't have the throw on the run. When Kyler runs like on a boot play, he looks to run. That's what he's going to do. He looks to run. Um, More times than not, he'll run. Bryce is always looking downfield to throw the ball to a guy open. And Bryce is also I think a little smarter. I think Bryce is a better team leader. Bryce is a guy that's going to rally the troops. He's going to keep the guys engaged. Um, he's going to quickly respond to, "Hey, I screwed up, but let's not let this end like this. Let's all, you know, keep pounding and get it together, and we can still do this." And he's often noted on clips and recordings doing just that. So I really truly believe that Bryce has a better head on his shoulders for the football than Kyler Murray, but that doesn't mean Kyler Murray's a bad player. It's just the two different type people, and um, and there's a lot of folks out there screaming to replace Bryce. And listen, if it comes to that, I'm all for it. If you're going to get better, but I don't want to replace Bryce for a guy who's worse. I don't want to go backward, and I feel that a lot of the folks people are bringing up are exactly going backward. I mean, let's be real. Uh, some of the folks screaming the loudest are the same ones who screamed to replace Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and they're doing pretty good where they're at now. So let's not all get in a hurry to replace a guy because we think you're going to get somebody better when majority of it is um, you're not. Um, I don't really care who was wrong or right in the annals of history on who the Panthers should have drafted. I really don't care who's wrong or right. I really don't care uh, who ends up being the better quarterback. I care about the Carolina Panthers and right now Bryce Young. And whoever wears the jersey of the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to care, and whoever starts for the Panthers, I'm going to care. Um, Don't really care about anybody else. But let's just keep pounding. Uh, the game Sunday, I believe we're going to win this. But is it a trap game? It could be. It very well could be. Um, but it's up to the players and the coaches to make sure that doesn't happen. You know, I think the Panthers have been drug in the mud for so long that when they're starting to get up above it, I don't think they're going to allow themselves to be caught back down again. They've already done that a few times this season. So you know, you got to be super careful in that, and I believe that they will be. I think we have better leaders on this team than we've had in the past. One thing I was noted the other day saying that I do enjoy and love listening to these players talk now. Because there's a difference in what it had been. Even the last few years, your leaders were not the leaders we have now. They hold each other accountable. They hold themselves to a higher standards. They desire it so much. You know, in times past when you would see a mistake happen. I watched Panther strong safety Morig was had I shared it on my profile. It's mic'd up. That's what I'm trying to say. It's mic'd up during this past game, and he talks a lot. And when um in times past, when a defense player did a mistake, he was kind of either set by himself, he was ridiculed, not really harshly, but told what he should do better. When Mike Jacks dropped the should have been pick, could have been pick six. Um, they handled it respectfully and dignified. Mike had his head down on the bench, sitting real close to teammates, and Morig said, "Come on, Mike, you got this." And that's all it was said, and it's pretty cool. You know, comparable to years ago. To a couple years ago. Y'all keep pounding, and we'll see it. I'll see you tonight as I join C3 Cody Lax Friday Free for All. Keep pounding, and thank you for listening to the Blue and Black Attack Podcast, a Carolina Panther podcast. And this is Panther Pickle and his morning minutes.